One of the questions that I get asked most often in my marketing, in my calls, in my conversations that I have with online business owners is, how do I know if I have a messaging issue? How do I know, Fabi? How do I know if what's going on is something that's related to messaging or it's related to sales and I need to get better at it, or if I need to increase my ad spend or maybe create more content? Like, how do I know these things? And that's exactly what I want to cover today because it's a logical question to have. And there are certain clues that for me are very, very clearly an indication of this being a very powerful messaging issue. So I want to kind of ask you some questions that hopefully are going to get some of your juices flowing and give you a little bit more clarity around where is your blind spots, or what are the blind spots that you're not seeing? And if you do have a messaging issue, what are the things that you need to take into account? What are the things that you need to take action on to fix them? And all of these different things. I actually have a workbook that's going to help you through this process. And I'm going to make sure that I have it below this video or this audio, depending on whether you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere else, or on YouTube. You're going to be able to see it below, so that you can follow along and go through this process of auditing your own brand, auditing your own business, and realizing and figuring out, well, is this a marketing issue? Is it a messaging issue? What is going on? All right. So that being said, there are certain things that we need to evaluate to help you get more clarity around whether this is a messaging issue or not. The first thing that I want to say is that this exercise that we're going to do together is going to be helpful for you. Essentially, if you have been creating content online already, if you are brand new and you are launching your business from scratch and like literally have not done anything in terms of marketing, this is still going to be helpful for you in getting you clarity around things that you need to look out for, but there's not going to be necessarily a lot to audit. So I do think that this is going to be more helpful for you if you're somebody that's creating content on a somewhat consistent basis on social media, or you have maybe a video sales letter or an automated webinar funnel. That usually is a great indication of this because you've been implementing marketing strategies so far. And so you're going to be able to come back and analyze these strategies to give you more clarity around what needs to happen or what's going on. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about has to be related to your sales, right? So I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the things and exercises that I want you to focus on, and then I'll give you some questions and some considerations to take into account as well. So in terms of sales, and I feel like this is the easiest place for us to begin in terms of auditing your message and figuring out if you do have a messaging problem. What I want you to do is really take into account or really consider the last few calls that you've had, the last few strategy sessions or sales calls or assessments or whatever it is you call them. Maybe take note of the last 10 or 20 of these conversations that you've had and really ask yourself, who have you been attracting? I think that it's very important for you to actually do this exercise because oftentimes, we don't really know what is the core of the issue. And we start creating like this whole drama and like finding different solutions, but you're finding solutions to a problem that you don't necessarily even have, right? So people will like go in and spend all of this money in marketing, or they're hiring appointment setters, or they're saying, let me let's spend more money on my ads, or let me tweak my webinar, or let me create more videos, or whatever it is. But you're not really solving the problem at the core. And that's why I think that it's really important for you to really take a look at the actual data that you have available in your business right now to truly get clarity around those blind spots that you have. So you want to ask yourself, who are the people that I have been attracting, right? And for me, in terms of sales calls, things that are very clear to me that you're speaking to the wrong people or that there is an issue with your messaging, and again, I'm going to go around sales, is that you are getting calls booked, but a lot of times people don't show or they cancel them. So and I just literally did an episode around how to eliminate no-shows and all of these different things. Make sure to look for that one. But for me, the important thing here is that if you're getting a very large amount of people no showing or canceling calls, and when I say no showing, it means that somebody came in, they booked a call with you, and they fill out the form or somewhat fill out the form, and you're showing up to your Zoom call or calling them by the phone, and the person did not respond to any messages from you. It's like they completely ghosted you. They've disappeared, right? So if that is happening very often, this to me is a messaging issue. If you're talking to people who are absolutely ready to enroll and they're like, this is exactly the program that I want. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you so much. This is so needed, so needed. And then when you tell them the price, they're like, I can't come in. I can't enroll. I can't afford it. I am in another program. I'm doing something else. Let me manifest the money. Let me get another client. Let me do this. Let me finish working with my coach. Let me talk to my husband. If you're getting a lot of those things happening on sales calls, and I mean like the majority of people, 60%, 70% of the people that you talk to are telling you this is, again, a messaging issue. And so why it's important for you to actually sit down and write who were the 20 people that I talked to, go through your notes and write down, what did they tell you? What happened? Did they no show? Did they cancel? Why? What was the objection that they gave you on the call? Why did they not enroll? What was the reason for them not enrolling, right? So really asking yourself these questions, not just like, right, whatever. No. Sitting down and doing almost the math. Like, how many of these people told me, what percentage of them no-showed? What percentage of them told me that they weren't ready? What percentage told me that it was too expensive? What percentage enrolled? How many of these people? And so you could do this for the last 10, 20, 15, 100 calls, depending on how many sales calls you have booked according to your own marketing and your strategy and how long you've been in your business, right? So again, these are all things that are important. So if you are getting those calls booked, like I said a moment ago, and a lot of these people are canceling, or no showing, messaging issue. If you're talking to people who are ready, who love it, who are like, this is the program for me, and then they don't enroll, they're not coming in, this is a messaging issue very much tied to the audience. In that case, for me, you're not speaking to the right audience. You're almost speaking to the right audience. You're speaking to maybe the right problem, but not the right person. And this distinction is very important. I have an episode on how to speak to buyers that is going to be very helpful for you on this topic. You can also go to readytoinvestclients.com to watch my 20-minute video on how to speak to ready-to-invest clients, that I think is also going to be really helpful. But part of it is that if you're talking to people that are like, I'm in love with this program, this is exactly what I need, and then they're telling you I can't enroll, that is not your actual ideal audience, is what I want you to understand. Those people are not really the right fit, because again, obviously you're not going to get 100% conversion rate necessarily, but if the great majority of people are telling you things like this and they're not enrolling, there is something absolutely off with your messaging, and you're speaking to the person who's not ready to buy right now. There's something there that needs to be paid attention, like that needs your attention to pay attention to. So that's really important. So when you look through the calls that you've had, you want to ask yourself, well, were these people truly ideal fit? Or was I saying that they were ideal fits because I wanted to make the sale so much? Like, if every single person that you spoke to always was going to enroll, and like, imagine that in this world where you have a 100% conversion rate, and now it's you choosing who you let in and who you don't let in. Would you actually enroll these people? Are they a good client? Would you be excited to work with these people? Or is it like, well, I'm just going to enroll them because it's like the next best thing? Like, sure, like I want the money. Sure, I can help them, but it's fine. I can let them in, right? And I think that this is an interesting topic to cover in terms of whether to know whether you have a messaging issue or not, because we've all been there. We've all been on the end of a sales call where you're like, I don't know necessarily if like, I know that I can help this person and I know that they have the problem that I can solve. I don't know if they're ready for the solution yet, but maybe they will be. So let me try to get them to enroll, right? I want you to be very honest with yourself if that is happening more often than it should. Because ideally, it shouldn't be happening for the most part. Like if you get to the end of a sales call and you're having this conversation with somebody that you feel like, if you get honest with yourself, you feel like, I don't know if this person is the perfect fit. I know I can help them and I know that they have the problem I can solve, but I don't know if they're the perfect fit, and you're still moving forward. This is a messaging issue. I want you to understand that it's not that you have to be more aggressive on sales calls, or you have to pressure them, or you have to use fast action discounts or bonuses or whatever to get them to like create urgency. If there's that tension there that is like they're not quite ready and what I need is pressure to get them to come in, you're not speaking to the right audience. And therefore, this is 100% a messaging issue. Again, this is why coming through this process and really analyzing your audience is going to be helpful. The workbook is going to help you for that, because you're going to be able to clearly see like, okay, yeah, these are the people that I've spoken to. These are the common objections that I'm getting. And, I can see that I'm really not necessarily speaking to the right person. And that's why the bigger of a, how do you say this, like a group that you have of people to analyze, the more data that you have to look at, the more powerful this is going to be, because it's going to really allow you to determine, actually, you know what? I do have a messaging issue. I am speaking. The majority of these people are not quite ready for me, or maybe they are. And maybe if they are, then it would be a marketing issue. If the majority of people that you speak to are the right fits and are enrolling, and the issue is that you need to get more people in, well, then that's when you could say, well, okay, this is a marketing issue. I need to get more visible. I need to increase my ad spend. I need to get more enrollment coaches coming in, or whatever that is, right? Like you need to kind of just scale up whatever you're doing. And then it's, in that case, it is a marketing issue. But for me, if you're getting a lot of objections, and if you're getting a lot of people who are not quite the right fit on sales calls, and therefore you're not getting a lot of people actually enrolling into the program, you're spending too much time overcoming objections, too much time giving context on sales calls, these are all very clear indications that it is actually a messaging issue. And then I feel like tied to that, before I jump into like analyzing marketing and analyzing your message, are your clients. And this is another great place for you to truly analyze if you do have a messaging issue or not. Here's where it's going to get a little bit tricky again. Once again, I want you to sit down and analyze your last 10, 20, 30, 50 clients, however many feel good to you, or depending on where you're at in your business, right? And start making a list of who were the people that you loved working with the most, like the people that got results, the people that you were like, yes, I have a call today with this client. I am so excited that I get to talk to this person. Like, I love this client. I feel lit up, and they're like on fire. They're taking action. They're getting results. Who were these people? Write these people's names down and ask yourself, what were the patterns and commonalities that these people had? What were things that these people have in common? Who are they? How do they show up? How do they see themselves? How do they see you? How do they see coaching? And one of the big questions that you want to ask yourself is, how did these people enroll? Like, go back and remember, if you can, or even listen to the recording, even better if you have it, what that sales conversation was like. How did they enroll easy? Was it harder for them to enroll? What was going on that sales call, right? So really take the time to analyze these things. I promise you that this exercise is going to give you like so many light bulb moments. You're going to be blown away by it, okay? Then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to analyze the clients that are in your program right now, or have been in the past, who weren't quite the right fit or didn't quite get results. They were okay. Sure. I mean, they're there, you're helping them and you're kind of rooting for them, but they're not necessarily the people that you're like, oh my God, I love this client so much, right? Once again, make the list of those people and ask yourself, what were the patterns or commonalities that these people had? What were the things that they have in common? How did they see the problem? Are they a little bit more in like a victim mentality? Are they a little bit more in neediness? Are they more desperate to solve the problem? What is the situation? And then once again, go back and remember, how did these people enroll? And if you can track the whole process, like where they found you, even better. If you can track that, it's going to be even more powerful for you. Okay. So we've analyzed our sales calls. We're kind of getting into the process of looking at, okay, what's going on sales. We're analyzing our clients. But now that we have these things in place, we're going to start looking at your marketing, right? And so considering what we've talked about so far, I want you to really ask yourself, who have you been speaking to in your marketing content? Whether that is on your webinar, on your ads, on your sales page, on your landing page, on your TikTok videos, on your YouTube videos, on your podcast, on your post, whatever I don't care what you're doing. Who have you been actually speaking to the most? Who are you calling in? Who are the people that you're magnetizing through your content? Is it the first group of clients that you had that are like your people? Or is it more of the second group of people that are not quite? Are you speaking to which audience is showing up more on the sales call? That's going to give you a good indication of who you're speaking to the most, right? And so asking yourself, is your content really focused on speaking to buyers, or is it just speaking to the problem that you solve? And so here are other indications that your messaging is off, and how that shows up in your marketing. So indications of this is that no matter how much you tweak your content or your webinar, you're still struggling to get around getting enough sales calls booked. And maybe you're like, okay, let's kind of paint the picture for you. This is fun, by the way. I'm having fun here sharing this with you if you can't notice. Okay, so maybe you're like, okay, I have a webinar, an automated webinar or automated video sales letter funnel, right? And you built it, you hired the coach that taught you how to do it, and you're like, let's go. Let's take action on this. You're moving forward. You're doing all the things. Not quite got the result. You tweaked it. Not quite got the result. You tweaked it. Okay, you got an enrollment, and then it worked well for 3 calls, and then boop, fell again. You tweaked it, and you're re-recorded, and you're redoing things again and again, and it's not quite there. And then so maybe you say, okay, well, maybe what I need to do is a live launch, because people are doing these live launch, these 5-day challenges. Maybe that's the thing. So then you turn around and you do a live launch, and you're like excited, and you're getting people to show up or to your live event, and then same result. Okay, you're getting sort of a result, but not quite. Maybe it's that you have to get consistent at it. And so you're trying all of these different marketing things. Oh, people say TikTok is the thing. So you turn to TikTok and you start doing TikToks, and then same sort of thing. Or you hire an appointment setter, and then these people are getting you calls booked, but they're not quite the right fit. So no matter how much you try different marketing strategies or you tweak your funnel, you're still roughly getting the same result as it relates to what we just talked about in terms of the sales call, right? People not quite ready, they're canceling, they're no-showing, they love the program, but they can't afford it. They maybe don't even understand why they need what you have to sell. This is a big, big, big one, right? Like they're like, well, this is amazing, but I don't know that I really need this right now. Like, I don't know if it's a priority, right? So if these are things that are happening to you, it's like 1,000,000% from my perspective, a messaging issue, right? And no matter how much you invest in other solutions and other funnels or doubling down on sales calls or whatever, you're still not solving the problem. Because if the wrong person is getting on the phone with you, the wrong person is going to get on the phone with you, period, right? Like you're not going to make more sales no matter how much you change the funnel, how much you change the marketing, how much more content you create. You're still showing up from the same place. Like the problem isn't fixed. The problem being the message. You're not speaking to the right audience, right? So if no matter then how much content you're sharing on social media, let's say that your strategy is Facebook or Instagram carousels or stories or TikTok, whatever on social media, you're like, I'm all in. I'm going to post TikToks 3 times a day. That's what they say works. I'm going to go do it. Or I'm going to do carousels on Instagram, or I'm going to do all these things. And you're really active and consistently creating content, but you're not getting DMs except from people telling you that they can get you 10,000 followers. I got the other day, somebody who gave me 200 likes on a post. And then I got a DM from somebody saying like, hey, I just sent you a gift of 200 likes on your post from like these random accounts and try to sell me something, right? If that's what the majority of your DMs look like, there's an issue there. Fortunately, like that's not the majority of the DMs I get. In fact, it's the minority, obviously. But if the majority of the DMs that you're getting are trying to sell you something or trying to get you to buy something or get you to 10,000 followers, and you're not getting any inquiries, you're not getting any curiosity, any questions about what you do or about your content or anything like that, or obviously sales calls booked, there is something wrong with your message. It's not about you being more consistent. It's not about you being more educational. It's about you're not speaking to buyers. You're not activating the right people. And mind you, one thing that I want to say is that that doesn't mean like that comments are going to necessarily lead to sales, because if you look at my content, for example, I don't necessarily get a lot of comments on them, but I get a lot of clients from them. And that's what I want. I don't care this isn't a popularity contest. I'm not looking to be an influencer here that has millions of followers. I'm not looking to have 100 comments on my posts. I'm looking for clients. I'm looking to serve people. And that is my metric. So I have, for example, on TikTok, I might have not a lot of followers or not a lot of comments, but I've signed multiple 15 and 25K clients from my TikTok, for example, right? So, and just as like from my $5,000 program as well. So I brought in people, even if I don't have engagement, but that is your metric of success. Is my content, my effort, the thing that I'm doing, leading people to enroll, leading people to buy? And if you're not getting any engagement or very little engagement, you're not getting the result that you expected. You're not getting enough sales and actual sales happening, not only calls booked, but actual sales. This is a messaging issue. There's something in your message that needs to be looked at, right? And if you're very consistent with it and you're still not getting results, something to look at. Another place to look at are your emails. If you have a pretty decent email open rate, or maybe not, like if you have a 15% email open rate, that's not a good number to have. There's something with the audience or there's something with your message that needs to be fixed. But let's say that you have a high open rate, 30, 40% open rate, but nobody is clicking to book a call with you. Once again, this is a messaging issue. So these are all little things that are important for you to analyze in terms of what may be going on with your marketing that is clearly an actual messaging issue, not a marketing issue. Again, when it's a marketing issue, it means that you get great results. You have a really high close rate on sales call, high conversion rate for the webinar, for the ads. Like your metrics are all lining up, but you're not getting enough people in the funnel. That to me is more of a marketing issue. And that would mean you have to focus on adding more platforms or increasing ad spend or something along those lines, right? So to me, whenever it's more of a sales issue, it tends to be more likely a messaging problem, because if you're getting the right people in, those sales should be easy, unless you're terrible at sales, right? If you're terrible at sales, actually, I would argue that even if you're terrible at sales, when you have a message that is really well built, you should still have enrollments coming in on a somewhat consistent basis, because your content should do the pre-selling for you. So ideally what should happen is that when people get on a sales call with you, they already know the details around why they need you. They already know why they need you. They're not there just to kind of see what you have to offer. There should be more demand that has been built through your content. So these are some signs, again, that you have a messaging issue. The last place that I'm going to go is a little bit more towards your message. And if you're talking to people that don't understand what makes you different, if you don't know what makes you different, if you're like, I know that I'm good, but I have no clue how to express why I'm good or what makes me good, messaging issue, okay? I mean, clearly, right? You don't know how to describe why they need to hire you. You don't know how to describe what makes your process, your offer, your system, your methodology different and better than others. Definitely a messaging issue. If you know that you're an expert, you know that you're good at what you do, but your content is like falling flat and it's like, anybody could copy it and nobody would even notice that it was copied from somebody else. Like you sound like everybody else in your niche. This is, once again, a messaging issue, right? So coming back to what we were saying, it's kind of thinking about like, is your content really focused on speaking to buyers, or is it just focused on problems and symptoms? Are you really speaking to the people behind the problem? Do you feel like you're coming across as somebody that's different or unique from everybody else in your niche? And do you feel like your brand and your message represent you and what you have to say? And another piece of this that I think is really important that we don't ask ourselves enough is, can people truly experience who you are as a coach through your content? Whether this is automated, whether this is live, whether it's a podcast, whether it's, I don't care, whatever it is. Can people really experience how you lead, how you think? Do they understand how you view the problem? Do they understand how you view the world? These are all things that need to come across in your message, and that when you do effectively, it changes the game for you. All right. So I hope that this kind of opened your eyes a little bit around some of these things. And I really actually hope that you take the time to do the exercises that I share with you on this episode today, or this training, because it's going to give you so much light around, wait a minute, I think that there might actually be something in my message that needs to be improved. And the other piece of this, if you haven't done so already, is going to brandmessagesession.com to book a 15-minute brand assessment with me. So what I will do, and whether you do this exercise before or not, is I will take a look at your content, at your marketing, at your strategies, and I will give you my perspective around what I believe is those blind spots that you haven't even noticed, right? Like what I believe is the thing that you're not getting quite right. Because obviously, if you knew what it was, you would have already fixed it by now. Like if you're somebody that's been very consistent and you've invested in so many programs and marketing and you've done so many things in the past, you would have already fixed it if this is something that you could see for yourself. So having somebody from the outside look in and say, hey, can you see here what you're doing with how you're talking to your audience, or your content is actually too educational? I had a call today with somebody that was the issue. And I looked at it and she didn't even realize how much her content was just educational. She was like, this is really valuable. Yes, it's valuable, but this is not speaking to buyers. This is speaking to people who are just looking for information. And so having somebody from the outside look in and tell you what the blind spots are is one of the most powerful things that you can do. This is a 15-minute call with me personally. I will actually be the one taking a look at your message, at your brand, at your marketing. I will sometimes even listen to webinars when people give me the links. Like I will skim through them, and I will be able to tell you exactly if you actually do have a messaging issue or not, or if it's something that you should be focusing on in terms of your marketing. And if it is a messaging issue, what the issue is. Is it the audience that is off? Is it how you're expressing what you're doing that is off? Is it that you're doing too much pain marketing that is off? Is it that you're being too inspirational that is off? Like, what is the actual thing that needs to be fixed? So make sure that you go to brandmessagesession.com to book that call with me right now. And make sure that you look below this training, this video, this audio for the worksheet on how to audit your own message. And please share it with me. Like take a screenshot of it. I want to see what you did, because I am extremely curious to see like the light bulb moments and the breakthroughs that you're going to get from doing this exercise. I promise you, it is going to be mind-blowing when you actually take the time to analyze what you've been doing and realize for yourself whether or not you do have a messaging issue. And if it is a messaging issue, have the 15-minute call with me, because I can tell you and pinpoint exactly where the issue is that you haven't even realized and what you need to be focusing on and tweaking. And if it's not a messaging issue, amazing. Well, that means that you need to focus on, well, how do I scale? How can I get to the next level in my business? What strategies feel in alignment with me so that I can grow? So I hope that this is helpful. Make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Leave me a review. Leave me your comments below with your questions or anything that kind of came up for you in this training. And I will see you in another episode.